Are you ready to discover the power you have to transform your reality and attract everything you desire? Neville Goddard asserts that health, abundance, and genius are not created but manifested through the organization of your mind. In this video, you will uncover how what seems like luck or coincidence is actually a reflection of your consciousness. Learn to shape your life and attract everything you want. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who needs this light. Thank you for being here. Consciousness manifests in regions of forms or levels of awareness. There is no one who is not everything, that is because consciousness, although expressed in an infinite number of levels, is indivisible. There is no real separation or gap in consciousness. I am cannot be fragmented. I can consider myself a prosperous man, a poor man, a beggar, a thief, but the essence of my being remains the same regardless of the concept held at the center of manifestation. Only one I am is manifesting in regions of forms or self-concepts. I am what I am. This is the exalted definition of the absolute, the foundation upon which everything rests. I am is a constant feeling of awareness. The core of consciousness is what I am feeling. I can forget who I am, where I am, what I am, but I cannot forget that I am. The awareness of being persists regardless of the degree of forgetfulness of who, where, and what I am. I am amidst countless forms always remains the same. This leads us to a great discovery: for better or worse, man is truly the arbiter of his own destiny, and the concept he holds of himself determines the world in which he lives. Everything depends on his attitude towards himself. What is not affirmed as true for you cannot emerge in your reality. When you understand that consciousness is the only reality, considering it good, bad, or indifferent, becoming what you consider, you free yourself from the tyranny of secondary causes. You free yourself from the belief that there is a cause outside your own mind that can affect your life. The state of an individual's consciousness is where the explanation of the phenomenon of life is found. If the concept man holds of himself were different, everything in his world would be different. Only through a change in consciousness, by truly modifying the concept of oneself, can you build more stable mansions, experience more pleasant manifestations. And by manifestations, we mean experiencing the results of these new concepts in your world. The reason lies in the fact that consciousness is the only reality, the first and only cause and substance of the phenomenon called life. Something cannot exist for you except through the consciousness you place in it. Therefore, it is with consciousness that you must deal, as it is the only foundation by which the phenomenon of life can be explained. Consequently, what appears before you as circumstances, conditions, and even in the form of material objects are manifestations. It is truly only the product of your own consciousness, your intrinsic nature. So, as a thing or complement of external things, your mind must be ignored amidst the wall of contradictions, antagonisms, and contrasts in your life. Only one principle is in action, only your consciousness operates, the world moves without its own will. By this, I mean it has no motive of its own but is under the necessity of manifesting your concept. In other words, the organization is solely in your mind, always structured to the image of everything you believe to be real, and it is what you consent to as true. Health and abundance, beauty and genius, are not created, they are simply manifested by the organization of your mind, that is, by the concept of yourself. And your concept of yourself is everything you accept as true, you are aware of it, and your reactions reveal where you reside psychologically. Where you live psychologically is how you conduct yourself in the external and visible world. The importance of this in your daily life should be clear and well understood. The basic nature of the root cause is consciousness, therefore, consciousness is the ultimate substance of all things. The illusion that governs man is his conviction that there are other causes beyond his own consciousness. Everything that happens to a person, everything he does, everything that comes from him is realized as a result of his state of consciousness. So, you must make your desired future a present fact. Do this until you assume a feeling of fulfilled desire. By longing to be another person, you can create the ideal personality you wish to become and assume that you already live in that personality. If you persist in this assumption until it becomes your dominant feeling, the realization of your ideal is inevitable. The ideal you wish to achieve is always ready to be lived, but until you decide to embody it, it will not come to light. Therefore, your attitude must be one in which, by desiring the higher state, you and only you assume the task of embodying this new and more complete value of yourself and giving birth to this new ideal. You must remember that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are quite different. This is a point that probably one person in a million must understand. You know something mentally because you see it externally, comparing it with other things, analyzing it, and defining it through thought. This is different from knowing something spiritually, by becoming it only by thinking from it. You must be the thing itself and not just talk about it, observe it, like the moth, wishing to know the flame, is willing to destroy itself. Therefore, you must also be willing to die to your current state to become the new, higher state. You must be aware of being healthy if you want to know what health is. Be aware of being secure if you want to know what security is. Therefore, to embody a new and better concept of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you wish to be and live by faith in that assumption. Thus, it is absurd to expect the new concept to be produced through a process of natural evolution. What requires a certain state to be produced obviously cannot be generated without that specific state. In your ability to assume the feeling of a better life, a new concept of yourself, you can use imagination, an instrument through which you create your world. The changes that occur in your life as a result of the transformation of the concept of yourself always seemed, to the unenlightened person, not to be the result of a modification in consciousness, but rather of fortune or some external cause, or even of chance. Undoubtedly, the only destiny that governs your existence is the destiny determined by your own concepts, your own assumptions. For it is a stance, even if it is illusory, if it is persistent, it becomes reality. The ideal you pursue and hope to achieve will not manifest itself and will not materialize until you imagine yourself being or possessing that ideal. There is no other way to achieve it but through a radical and psychological transformation of yourself and the adoption of a feeling of realized desire. Everything depends on your attitude towards yourself. What you do not affirm as possible or achievable will never happen for you because admitting that something is feasible, achievable is the necessary condition for you to achieve a goal. All transformation is based on suggestion, and this can only work when you allow it to influence you. You must assume the feeling of fulfilled desire until your assumption intensifies all perceptions of reality. You must imagine that you have already lived what you desire. You must assume the feeling of total ecstasy for your desire until you feel possessed by it. This feeling expels from your mind all thoughts contrary to that purpose. To reach a higher level of yourself, you must assume a higher concept of your being. If you cannot imagine yourself differently, you will remain as you are. For he who does not believe that I am, will die in his sins. John 8 verse 24. If you do not believe that you already are the person you want to be, then you remain as you are. Through the faithful and systematic cultivation of the feeling of fulfilled desire, the longing becomes the promise of its own fulfillment. Turning your expositions into yes, sir is the key to the freedom and happiness you have always dreamed of. You can achieve this mastery through the controlled release of your imagination. You determine your assumptions in this way, forming a mental image, a photograph of that desired state of the person you wish to be, concentrating your attention on the feeling that you already are that person. First, you visualize the image in your consciousness, then you feel being in that state, forming the complements around it through your imagination. What was only a mental image becomes an apparently solid reality. The great secret is controlled imagination and sustained and focused attention on the desire realized. I cannot explain it better than to say that by creating the ideal within your environmental sphere, assuming that you already live in that ideal, you identify with it and, as a result, become that image, thinking from or based on that ideal instead of thinking about it. Every possible state already exists as a mere possibility while we think about it, but it becomes powerfully real when we think within it, from it. When you understand the redemptive function of imagination, you will have in your hands the key to solving all your problems. Every phase of your life is determined by the exercise of your imagination. Determined imagination is the only means for your progress. The realization of your dreams is the beginning and end of all creation. The great secret is controlled imagination and a firm and sustained attention repeatedly centered on the feeling of the desire fulfilled until consciousness alone eliminates from your awareness all ideas contrary to your purpose. Your only limitation is the lack of control over your imagination and the lack of attention to the feeling of your desire realized. When imagination is not controlled and attention is not maintained on the feeling of the desire fulfilled, then no amount of prayers, emotions, or invocations will produce or lead to the desired effect. When you can evoke any image and make it vivid and real in your imagination, just like the forms of nature, then you will be the master of your destiny. Focused observation on one thing expels all others and causes different causes to that thing until they disappear completely. The great secret of success is to focus attention on the feeling of the desire fulfilled and not allow any distraction. All progress depends on the mastery of attention. The ideas that make you act are those that dominate your consciousness, those on which your attention rests. The idea that excludes all others from the field of your attention is the one that will make you act, forgetting all the others left behind, moving towards the goal. Philippians 3 verse 13. This message applies to you. The only thing you can do is move towards the goal of victory solely with the feeling of the desire fulfilled. To the unenlightened, this might seem like a great fantasy, yet all progress occurs for those who do not accept things as they are and see beyond appearances. Your expectation is the hand of God shaping the firmament according to what you expect to see. Consider a truth: it is like your imagination. If left to chance, it will use your energy in useless and destructive thoughts and feelings. However, just as the vine is pruned to get rid of useless branches and roots, you can prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unpleasant and destructive ideas and focusing on your established goal. The noble and happy life you can experience results from wisely directing your imagination. Everything depends on your concept of yourself, and what you do not accept as true for yourself cannot happen to you. The promise that to him who has, more will be given, and he will have in abundance. But to him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Matthew 25 verse 29, Luke 8 verse 18. Hold firmly in your imagination everything that is pleasant and respectable to you. Assume it, do it by imagining that you already are what you want to be and that you already have what you want to possess. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23 verse 7. Be at peace and know that you already are what you desire to be and that you do not need to chase after it. Even if you have the freedom to act, you are offering, like everyone else, the law of assumption, regardless of what you think about free will. The truth is that what you experience throughout your life is determined by what you assume is true for yourself. Whether consciously or not, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. I tell you this now before it happens, so that when it happens, you may believe in me. John 14 verses 2-3. In these verses, your imagination travels to the future, to one of the many mansions. A mansion refers to the desired state. Referring to an event before it actually happens is simply feeling yourself in the desired state until that state takes on the hues of reality. You prepare a place for yourself by imagining with the consent of the desire fulfilled. Thus, you catapult yourself from the state of desire fulfilled where you are not physically to where you were physically a moment ago. With an irresistible forward movement, you advance through a series of events to the physical realization of your desire, where you have already been in your imagination, and there you will also be with your physical body. As the rivers flow to the sea, so they return. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 7. Creation is complete. Creativity is simply refined receptivity. The entire content of all times and spaces, even if separated by a temporal sequence, exists in the eternal infinite at this very moment. In other words, everything you have been or will be, and everything humanity has been or will be, already exists now. This is what is meant by creation, and the statement that creation is complete means that there is nothing more to create, only to manifest what is called creativity, which is simply becoming aware of what already exists. You incrementally add portions to your awareness of what already exists. You certainly cannot be something that is not yet, nor experience something that does not yet exist. You may have had the impression of having heard what is being said or having seen someone you have just met or having seen a place or thing for the first time. All creation exists within you, and that is destiny, to become increasingly aware of its infinite wonders, to experience larger and more wonderful portions of this creation. If creation is complete, what influences your timeline, or, better yet, what determines the events you live or attract? The answer is your concept of yourself. That determines the route you must follow. Assume the feeling of the desire fulfilled and observe the route your attention takes. You will notice that by staying true to that assumption, your attention attracts images and circumstances clearly related to the feeling you assumed. You are free to choose any concept about yourself, thus having the power to intervene, the power to alter the course of your destiny. The process involves getting rid of your current concept of yourself. I hope this content has been valuable to you, that you have gained benefits. My goal with this channel is to help you prosper financially, starting with the mind, but I always emphasize the need for inspired action. Only with inspired and aligned action, along with the feeling of the desire fulfilled, can we produce material effects. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe to strengthen our channel, continuing to send light to the lives of many people, just like yours. A big hug, and until the next video.